Question.
Somebody shared a video of what human beings look like from the perspective of a machine that operates 50 times faster.
Mm-hmm.
And it was pretty jarring. We look kind of like plants. So can we talk about relative time scales?
This is vital and this is difficult to do. But if you think about it, humans live on an arbitrary time scale. And it's roughly, you could talk about the activity of cells occurs at, if we call it 1,000 frames per second, okay? But then cell replication takes place at maybe 100 frames per second. And then a human lifespan occurs at 10 frames per second. But then it starts to fall apart. So let me think of another analogy. So let's say you have a factory like Tesla, and it builds 1,000 cars a minute. No, 1 car per minute. I'm sorry, 1 car per minute. But he also builds factories, and those are built at 1 factory per year. But then he's also building an overall body of factories, including the robots and the cars, and that occurs at 1 every 10 years. Just for simplicity, just to give some idea, okay? Now we could also use over here, we could use cells, and then we have plants, and then we have germination, and then we have the first growths, which are very, very rapid growth. And then we have lifespan, which in the case of an oak tree could be a sequoia or something. Let's say 1,000 years. So we have 1,000 years for the life of the sequoia. The sapling grows at a very rapid rate, and it's over pretty quickly. So we could call that 100 years to reach maturity, just for simplicity. And then we could say for it to germinate fully takes 1 year, and then at a cellular level we're talking about 1 day, something like that. In other words, we've got orders of magnitude in difference. And so if just like we don't notice so much the details of what our cells are doing, a tree with a lifespan of 100 years may or may not pay much. Oh, do you remember the story of Ganus, the gnat, the one that inhabited the ear of the elephant, announced his arrival, and said, "Hey, I'm Ganus the perceptive, and I've come to announce my taking up residence in your ear." He's talking to the elephant about all these, really monumental things. I mean, he's going to live there for half his lifetime. He's going to have like 3 families of kids, and so he announces it very, very, pay attention. I mean, by the formalities of our day, I'm announcing to you, elephant, that I'm taking residence in your ear. Or the elephant doesn't say anything. So then he lives like 3 generations, an entire lifetime in this elephant's ear, and then he announces he's going to leave. So he says, "Mr. Elephant, it's been great living here, but for good and sufficient reasons, I'm going to have to take my leave. I'm sorry that we won't be affiliated much longer, but I've made my decision. So if you have anything to say it to me now." And the elephant again doesn't hear or doesn't. It's a gnat. It's this big. So that's the kind of thinking that we need when thinking about the difference between humans and these machines, because they're much faster, much faster than we are. And what does that mean? What does that mean for our capacity to understand them? That's my point. And I asked some people who should know, or they should have at least thought about it. What about the limitations on the human capacity to even process thought? Not generate and resolve. It's just to, and no answer. Because I don't think they've thought this through, but they need to. And so now we need the neurobiology folks and the psychology folks talking together with the computer science folks and saying, hey, wait a minute, maybe we're creating something that has no possibility of giving a damn about what happens to us. We're literally creating it such that it cannot possibly, how could it care? Right? So a day and the night, there's another beautiful, a day and the night. Okay, so that's the thing that you read starts with the world endurance, which is this earth, right? And it points out that the day and the night in the world endurance, or this earth, is
an eon in this world.
Okay, an eon. Okay, an eon in this world endurance, all right, which is an arbitrary unit of time, is a day and a night in the next level up, and then an eon in that world, blazing diamonds or sparkling sapphires. A day and a night, an eon in that realm, let's say it's 1,000 years, is a day and the night of the next realm up. And so, like, we suffer from this hubris that we're the center of the galaxy. Well, that what goes for space also goes for time, folks. And this is the critical thing that people need to pay attention to, in my opinion. What goes for space also goes for time, in this case. And we have to start studying time scales. And it's hard. It's hard. It'll hurt your brain. But there's guys out there who do this. They eat this for like nothing. I mean, their brains work this way. Mine doesn't. And so they think in terms of exponentials and logarithmics and so on and so forth. And they can do the math. And I think that it'd be really, really cool if we could get them to do the math on some of these things and say, how does this apply to us in our project of building AI? Right? Because if we box ourselves, we could make it such that it is literally impossible. The machine could care about us more than anything in the world, but it's still not capable of even registering us because we're so brief. Right? Who cares? Shakasta, Doris Lessing, the brilliant writer, Doris Lessing, the one who's does know what consciousness is. She's looking up at the stars in North Africa, and one just explodes. I think she's with her father, and her father says something like, "Oh, don't worry, there's plenty more where that one came from," right? And so it may be the end of the world, but it's only the end of this world.
Yeah, he says,
the human world. I want to get this point across. It may be the end of the world, because remember the mullah and his wife, where the mullah, they come to the mullah and say, "Hey, mullah, your wife's dead." He goes, "Oh my God, it's the end of the world." And then they tell him he's going to be dead, and he says, "No, that's the real end of the world," right? Because if you think about it, just reflect on it. Our worlds are, and how many worlds are there? That's another situation that's dealt with by the Buddhists beautifully. You could argue there's as many worlds as there are perceivers of worlds, right? Okay, I interrupted. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to clarify the quote, but yeah.
So there's a lot of work to be done. You don't have to be mystic. You don't have to be Buddhist. You don't have to be, a weirdo or anything like that. You can just think about these things in real terms and think, well, wait a minute, what are we doing here? And there's a possibility that maybe the reason we haven't made 1 millimeter of progress in our consciousness studies is we're looking in the wrong direction, right? Literally, we're looking the wrong way. So people think that, and I admire Elon a lot, and I think the Mars mission is fantastic. But the way he sees it at the current moment, it'll probably change, is that we're a little light of consciousness in a vast ocean of darkness. And it's actually the other way around. And so maybe we should stop there unless there's follow-up questions.
No.
The world is a product of consciousness. Consciousness is not a product of the world. And so that's a very simple idea. But people just don't want to grok it for some reason. But good. Thank you for these great questions. Very much appreciated. Anything else before we stop?
No, it's good for now. We can follow up another time.